Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks bringing you your daily NVIDIA report for Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. Let's take a look at the charts. I'm going to start with the daily chart, the big picture. And if you've been following the series, you know I've been, mentioning a 2 to 3 month buy signal that has materialized over the last month following the settlement a month ago above this descending channel top, a descending flag at the top of a move, classic setup for a long-term buy signal or a buy signal anyway, whether it's in a 30-minute chart or daily chart as this one. In this particular scenario, we had a new rising channel top that was formed off that April low, and having closed above this 2-month channel top, I'm expecting this really kind of a 6 or 7 month channel top now at 1208.79, and I have been expecting it since we settled above this 814.79 channel top in very early May. It took about 2 weeks, actually a little more than 2 weeks, for us to actually gap above the 974 previous all-time high that was put out last March. And following that, I've been kind of in this 2 to 3 week mode of anticipating 1208.79, which still remains in effect. So that is the big picture. 1208.79 able to contain buying on a longer term basis, which is to say really into July, possibly well into the third quarter. We could fall away from here back to what is now a trend line, but will become channel support in the 870s, 880s, and climbing into the 900 area as we move into mid-June. So that is what is possible. So as we test 1208.79, and I'm talking to those of you who may still be long from a month ago when we closed above this channel top. Take profits, 1208.79, at least partial profits. I mean, we are in a vertical move, this sort of hyperbolic rally that's occurring. So I wouldn't fault you for holding on to some because, of course, if we were to close above the 1208.79 mark, and I don't see that today, but you never know. And if we did, it would need to be by a 1% margin. And the 1% margin on 1208.79 is 1220.87. So I don't see this happening today, but it may well happen by the end of the week where we close above the 1208.79 targeted channel top by a full 1% margin. That sets up another buy signal that should result in an increasingly vertical and highly volatile trade. I would expect the 1538.35 full channel extension within another month or two at the most. I mean, we've seen an equal rally from the mid-April low to what is now the early June high. That's about 6 weeks. That same distance occurred 6 weeks since April. And so if we close above 1208.79, I would say within 6 weeks, possibly within 4 weeks, we reach 1538.35, which takes me back to the original point that take some profits at 1208.79. You may take all profits at 1208.79. As we're testing 1208.79, you may reach for 980 or 900 strike or 920 strike out of the money puts that don't expire. I would go 6 months out on that, what I would consider to be a 2 to 3 month at the most rotational sequence that could result in the lower 900 area. And by the way, that channel bottom is by the middle of July. Converging anyway with 974. So there you have it. Maybe you just reach for 975 strike out of the money puts as we're testing 1208.79. And if we close above 1208.79 by a 1% margin, scramble out of the money puts and reach instead for perhaps 1550 or 1600 strike out of the money calls that don't expire. I would go at least 3 months out on that expiration. Now for the day itself, I don't think I've isolated 1140.45, but it is the low of the high. So that is to say, Tuesday's high is the all-time high. The 1166 even high is the all-time high for NVIDIA. And if we were to close today below 1140.50, that would be a meaningful sign of short-term weakness. So I've bumped this up to a session containment level as opposed to an intraday pivot point. Now, does it have inherent strength? No. So this is kind of, I'm nuancing this just a little bit. I want to say that if we close below 1140.45, it does indicate a good weekly high, and we should within 3 to 5 days or less fall into this narrowing zone of meaningful near-term support between 1046.53 and 1077.21, where we could bottom out through next week and turn back up within a week or two of testing that 1046.53 to 77.21 region. We could round back up into the low 1200 area, 1208.79, within a couple of weeks of doing so. And that's what I would consider to be kind of the 2 to 3 week dynamic. Selling 208.79, talking to you kind of the 1 to 2 week swing traders. If you're selling 1208.79, you're holding out then for some variation of these channel structures that we presently find at 1046.53 and rising. And we also have an inside one at 1077.21. So if you're selling 1208.79, you're holding out for bearish retracement, 1 to 2 week swing traders, back into the, let's just call it the 1140s and climbing. You may only anticipate the 1160s or 80s by that point in time. Yes, and if we were to close below 1046.53, that would signal a good June high and bearish expectation. I don't have that target mapped out exactly yet, but it would be somewhere in, once again, the 850s, 870s, 890s, somewhere in that would be the expected outcome if we were to close over the next week or so below 1046.53. So closing below 1140.45 does signal 1046.53 to 77.21 within 3 to 5 days. That is your 3 to 5 day swing trade. Until then, it really is all systems go to the upside for you 3 to 5 day swing traders. Should you buy 1140.45? I mean, you can. I don't see a sell signal through the rest of the week unless we close below it, but maybe you're already long anyway, and we're not far off from our objective. We could reach this and probably will within the week. 1208.79, able to contain buying into July, possibly through July, and from here we could fall back. I'm just going to go 974 within a month or two at the most of testing 1208.79, and I say 974 because this channel bottom that is part of the 1208.79 structure does rise over that time frame to 974. Last thing I will say is, once again, if we close above 1208.79 in the coming days, no good reason to be short NVIDIA. Until then, I think you can take a shot at shorting NVIDIA. I know I say that this is, it's like standing in front of a falling, well, not a falling knife. That is the wrong analogy, of course, because this is a rising market. Standing in front of a freight train, right? But I don't want to be so dramatic because I don't want to shake you out of the possibility of setting a short at 1208.79. If there is an area to sell, on the way up at this point in time, it is 1208.79. And inversely, if we close above 1208.79, then just the opposite. You want to be long, stay long into July, 1538.35 anticipated within probably a month of closing above 1208.79. And yes, you want to add that 1% mark. Closing at 1209.10 or 1209.50 just isn't enough. We do need that 1% mark for what I call technical reliability. I think that that pretty much summarizes it. I'm going to leave it at that for Wednesday's NVIDIA report. Please click like, share, subscribe. Check out wickedstocks.com. Take advantage of that 5-day free trial. I'll be back tomorrow with Thursday's NVIDIA report, and you have a great day.